when we were in Hong Kong. There was just some guy walking past, and I can distinctively see him looking at us and talking like at us, right, with someone else, right, saying, in Chinese it says, 呢個人識食. That means this guy knows what to eat.
On the internet, yeah, people are so brave to say whatever they want. I heard of, she's here for your money. Okay, we're a bricks couple. There is one where they're like, oh, he's gonna feed you a dog, or what else? And snakes.
I grew up a little bit in South Africa and a little bit in Hong Kong.
I'm actually a location girl. I'm from Vosloorus.
We actually met on Hinge. You know.
Yep. The one day, I got a request, an unusual request, I thought. And yeah, I think from there, when I accepted the request, I was still quite skeptical. Like, I don't know, I haven't tried this before. But he was interesting enough to keep me, you know, looking until I accepted a first date.
On her profile, it says CIA assassin. So that kind of piqued my interest a little bit to find out whether this person is a sociopath or just someone who have some kind of hidden identity that, I was just really interested in what she actually is.
We spoke a bit, but then seemed both of us were quite busy. He was still starting with the building of this restaurant. And I had my own crazy schedule at work. So we weren't really speaking much. So that's when we had like sort of a suggestion that it would be much better because of the fact that I wasn't on the app as often as I wanted to be. So we decided to take it to WhatsApp, which is more personal and more accessible.
I think for that first video call that we had, both of us were actively trying to hold back of telling each other how cool that we are. You try to like make that like initial impression. I do this and do that. I have this dream and that, just to show the other person you're cool. We ended up talking for almost 2 hours, if I remember correctly.
Very long. We could see that both of us were actually people of faith. And I saw that was our like first connection point. To find somebody who believes the same way I do, I found it to be like a gem and unique for me. And that's when actually I felt like that was that real tap on the door of my heart. I was like, oh, okay.
Neither of us, first of all, wants to waste time. Like how you be on virtual for a long time and not actually ended up being in the space where you actually spend time and do things together. And we both agreed on that we are keen to meet up. Actually went on a first date at a restaurant, and then we were supposed to go to a carnival, but then she came in heels, so that kind of like detoured our...
Who doesn't come in heels on their first date?
But anyways, I even told her on the message, say wear something comfortable. So because my plan was to
over style, over first impression. Like, of course, I chose the heels because it was a first impression.
And we ended up watching a movie together.
This was my first interracial experience ever. So you can imagine all the things going on in my mind in terms of how can I handle this? Are we too different? Will I be accepted, for obvious reasons? And I had wondered, like, why me? Like, is this jungle fever? Is this an experiment? So what's going on?
I have intentionally, actively dated across all the race.
Like, don't be afraid.
And then
I know all of this. This is not new information.
Right. I find myself attracted to chocolate ladies. There wasn't a particular moment that, like when you look at someone like, yeah, you're the one. It wasn't that. It was more like when I look into the future, I can see myself being with her. I can see her very existence can become the greatest version of myself. And I also see us basically walking hand in hand. Yeah, even picturing ourselves as older version of ourselves.
He was just ticking all the boxes and creating new ones, actually. So in terms of everything that I was looking for, I felt like he was, A grade. He was exceeding my expectations and surprising me. When I looked at the future, consider whether this is the sort of leadership that I'd follow in the future. And I felt as if he was generally a good captain in terms of how he handled his personal life, his work life, and even his life with his family and your friends.
So the culture aspect itself is not a shock to me. I think what is actually shocking though is the fact that how much similarity we actually had. The kind of food that we eat are actually so similar. There's like South African tribe and then there's Chinese tribe. There's South African walkie-talkie, there's actually Chinese walkie-talkie too. And there's South African dompolo. And then there's basically Asian mantao. So it's basically the same thing. A lot of of our culture where it intersects, where we find similarity was the shocking aspect for me.
So walking into spaces where, for example, if we go to an Asian restaurant, where I might be the only, chocolate girl in there, getting used to looks, getting used to the side eye is like, I'm at the point where I've totally used to it now. But at first, it was quite an interesting out-of-body experience. Like, I've never, even my friends, when they would ask, like, are you sure? I was like, yes, I'm sure. If you spend time with him, if you've met him, like, this is the kind of person and love that I feel like everyone should experience. It's at a deeper level, and that's why I stuck around.
Mm-hmm.
My favorite thing about his culture is the food, and the fashion actually in Hong Kong.
My favorite part would be the music. Definitely hands down the music. African music got the vibes, it got the rhythm. Yeah, it makes my body move. I introduced Sabelo to my mom and my brother first, before the rest of the family in Hong Kong later. They were very welcoming. My mom really liked her personality, the way that she's soft but also very ladylike essentially. I think that was the first impression. That was actually the first impression of my mom of yours. And she also liked the fact that you're a Christian, as she is herself a very faithful lady. And as for my brother, it was lesser observation of her, but on me, basically it was more of something like, you look happy. Yeah. And in terms of the rest of the family where we met when we went back to Hong Kong, I think most of them were quite welcoming. After finding out that she's a doctor.
Oh, Lord.
No, I'm just being mean. They were nice in general, but I would say extra nice after finding out that she's a doctor.
I was also pleasantly surprised because I was very nervous in terms of would I be accepted, somebody outside of their culture, somebody who's such a rookie with chopsticks, So it was really nice getting started. I've never been so welcomed with love in my life. Like the question of me being a doctor would come very far into your conversation. He met my mom, right, when we were like really serious. It's because of, in our Black culture, especially in my family, when we were growing up, my mom had made a request after my brother broke up with her favorite, his girlfriend, but her favorite girl. So she had then asked us, no, please don't bring people home unless you're actually marrying them. So when I brought Naz home, I brought her home and she was quite nervous, cooked some lunch. And I was actually quite pleasantly surprised about how they actually hit it off. I just held off with my brother because he's very strict. He's my older brother. He's so strict. So I thought I would leave him for last. But they finally met on the Lobola day when things were a bit tense, negotiation and stuff, and he wasn't playing. that day. He wasn't playing.
I would say I know almost little to nothing of Lobola, to be really honest. Reason being, there's so many different versions and so many different types and different ways of going at it, where we are such a rich culture and different tribes and different practice. Sabelo was very kind and very patient, walking me through each step, or at least also spare me of some of the hurdles that would have been there.
I had to now come in and explain it to him in a way that it doesn't look like it's a sell-off or he's buying me or in any sorts of way. So I explained to him how this is actually just a formality of just bringing families together. It's an event to bring families together. I had to make sure that I stressed that the cows being mentioned were not a price on my head.
Chinese people do have our own version of Lobola. But instead of cows, we negotiate for tables. Tables meaning the people that you invite to join. So let's say the bride's side of the family would then ask for let's say 6 tables, and usually each table seats about 10 people, and each person will cost about 1,000 to 2,000 rand to invite them and also to eat and to dine with them for that evening. And in exchange for those people coming in to join the wedding, they usually would then pay for themselves. And that amount of money would then go back to the bride's side of the family. So it's basically like a more complicated version of here's pay for this table, and then my guests will pay for themselves, and this money would then go back to us.
On the day of the Lobola, right, it was a scary experience. I woke up very early. He was posting on the internet during the time, and I was in the kitchen. And I saw the video, I'm like, look at this. Look at him. He's nervous sitting in the car. And I'm here nervous in the house.
I have a good friend that was willing to help me out. And he knows more about this than anything. So he was negotiating on my behalf. So on that front, I kind of my only word was that, please don't let him be late, or worse, please, he will actually pitch up as he promised. When we're actually about to proceed as they enter into the house, that was when I was most anxious, because that was the part that now is completely out of my control. In my delegation, we had my mom in place of my dad because my dad passed away about a year ago. And then we have my brother, my younger brother, and none of my uncles or elders were in the country at the time, so I couldn't invite them to help me out for that particular event. And then it would then be Taboho, which is a friend of mine who volunteered to help me out the moment he heard about my needs. In the car, I sat for about maybe 2 to 3 hours in total. And I keep on seeing my brother coming back out fetching more cash from the car. Then in my head, it's like, oh my goodness, are they raising the price? What is going on? And he looked at me almost reassuring, things are going well, it's okay, But he just kept on fetching more cash. So I was like, okay, you're telling me that it's going okay, but you're taking more money out of our pockets. So what's going on, Yeah.
You know how they call in the flowers of the house to be identified, And his mother identified the correct flower, But then after that, I'm guessing that's when they called him.
I think at that point, I felt that everything was done. Little did I know they still actually have so much more interaction left when we enter inside the house itself.
So when it was time to serve the food, now I was told, yeah, you can go out and go serve your husband.
That was actually one thing I already mentioned. The most touching moment for me of the whole process was when she came out with a bucket of water and then kneeled in front of me, offering the bucket for me to wash my hand. I was overwhelmed by that particular moment. And I saw all the love, all the care, all the pride that she gave away for me.
After the whole thing was done, Um, we got to sit down, eat a meal together. The families started relaxing, their faces, no more straight negotiation faces. No, now they're relaxed, talking, introducing each other. And that for me was a highlight. And then I think at the very end, when we closed at prayer, for me, that was like a huge highlight. This is one of the things that united us and share such a common, love for God, that we closed it in prayer.
In terms of like us dealing with any issue that might have arise or that will arise, I think communication will definitely be the key for us. Luckily, we share a language that we can both speak, which is English.
Yeah.
But the fact that we do try our best to communicate and have each other heard, I think that was the key aspect of how we overcome most of our challenges that we face so far.
Me and him solve a lot of our problems around our faith. We pray together, we use principles in the Bible to solve problems. Basically, when I'm overwhelmed, he quickly goes, let's just pray before anything else.
I think contrary to what people might think, that interracial couples will have more difficult time understanding each other. I think with access to so much information, like right now, internet and everything, I think most of us are now equipped to have interracial relationships. Not only because the knowledge is out there, but more like we are more accepting of each other already by this time. It's like 2025. The most ridiculous thing that I've heard was when we were in Hong Kong, and there was just some guy walking past, and I can distinctively see him looking at us and talking like at us, right, with someone else, right, saying, in Chinese it says, 呢個人識食. That means this guy knows what to eat.
On the internet, yeah, people are so brave to say whatever they want. I heard of, she's here for your money. Okay, we're a BRICS couple. There is one where they're like, oh, he's gonna feed you a dog, or what else? And snakes.
Or you walk into my shop looking for a job and then end up getting a different position kind of thing.
He wants citizenship.
Huh?
Yeah. And then the constant thing we keep hearing is, where are the Blasian babies? Where are the Blasian babies? The Blasian babies. Yeah, we've heard that so much. I feel grateful that I get to experience the kind of love that I've experienced with him. I feel like it's a once-in-a-lifetime kind of love. And again, that somebody can experience out there. I've grown so much as a person. Meeting him, because of his care, has actually also shown me how to care for him.
What I learned about myself in this relationship is I can be so much more patient and so much better than what I know myself as. It's only after a situation and be like, wow, you handled that so well. The challenges that people might think that they are, that might be that exist, are actually less than what they imagine. So if you are out there looking to like start an interracial relationship, or you're scared of being in one, I think don't let it hold you back. It's not as scary or difficult as it might be seen as.